Alrighty, Preacher's video. Let's go. Should MMO add-ons be banned? Controversial topic. I don't know. I think my opinions have probably changed over time. Oh my god, dude! Preacher's actually been starting to do these insane,
less add-ons,
like comedic friggin'.
I said less add-ons.
Intros. Right. Speech bubbles, yeah.
Perfection.
Still gonna get banned though, bitch. I actually feel slightly cringe watching that shit. I'm not gonna. Oh, that sounds loud. Oh no, what have I done? Oh no.
Add-ons, add-ons, add-ons. Everybody's got an opinion these days on add-ons, haven't they? It's been an argument that has been brought up to the fire ever since the last Race to World First in Sepulchre, as people find it outrageous, the amount of add-on use, certainly in World of Warcraft, that is utilized in order to make fights easier. And World of Warcraft is not alone in this. In fact, it's a widespread discussion that happens across every MMOs. And wouldn't you know it, within the past couple of weeks,
Final Fantasy fucking
Final Fantasy 14
that shit got
as
real dark real quick.
It's worth talking about add-ons and their usage because, once again, in most cases.
So here's the thing. I would say I probably enjoyed and thought add-ons were quite good, and there was no reason not to like them. But I think as I started pulling away from being able to spend like 14 hours a day playing the game, and you just have less time or whatever, it's made the content, I guess, I see value in not needing to do so much homework anymore. Like, make sure this add-on's up to date, fucking research all this shit, you know, spreadsheet your character in these ways. Like, it was fun back when I was younger, and maybe that's just part of growing up, I suppose, but I don't know. I do see the value in, I'd rather just have an experience of raiding, not like feel like I've overcome something because of look how much hurdles I had to jump over, and I did it because I jumped over those hurdles. Why does there have to be so many hurdles? Why can't it just be like, hey, this was one hurdle that was difficult to jump, not the first hurdle was hard and each hurdle after that gets a little bit easier, but you have like 1,000 hurdles to jump over. Like, yeah, I don't know, I'd just rather that one wall that's hard to climb, so to speak. But yeah, I don't know. It's definitely a big topic, that's for sure.
They're in, but it's just not that easy a situation. So, in World of Warcraft, it's a case of we're watching
his hair. Wait, can we just point out? You are 100% right. His hair is like fucking coming along swimmingly. Like, I've got old man hair now. You don't really tell. It just looks like I had a haircut because I have just had a haircut. But I have like the cowlick. Oh, is it this side? Yeah, I've got the cowlick, where basically if I pulled it all back. Oh yeah, look at that. That's some old man fucking. That's some old man hair retreating right back there. Jesus Christ, we're not gonna do that again. Woo, awkward.
On payroll, like they're actively paying these people.
This is something I actually just recently found out. Like, I always knew that organizations had add-on people that were paying. They were paying to get add-ons sorted and whatnot. And I was like, all right, cool. Yeah, I mean, they're just like, instead of content developers, they're just developers for that organization. And that's why it would be like methods, raid tools, or blah, 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 whatever. That's fine. But what I didn't realize is that they flew those few people on the team out for these World First events to literally be like at the World First event trying to progress on stuff. And in between their wipes and pulls, they're like fucking furiously like, so I learned that only recently, and holy shit, that actually blows my mind that is genuinely a thing.
Usually 3 or 4 people
like,
to
this
come
is insane.
To the World First event, and that means they are considered as important as everybody else who is there at those events, and their
probably
job is
more
to
important, to be honest.
They do other tasks besides, but when you'll see
they get them coffees and shit.
Max or be it Stripe, drop into different channels and say, this is what we need. And while that's happening, other people, these tech analysts, are also letting people know what they need. And these teams scurry and busy and get to work.
See, this is too much. Sorry, but
or whatever it might be.
It is
to then
this alone should already be testament and proof enough that this is getting out of hand, and it like needs to stop. I would firmly put myself in the combat add-ons bad camp. If as part and parcel of that we lose all add-ons, I don't know. I mean, it's a hard judgment to say, right? I'm not entirely against losing all add-ons. If that's a sacrifice that would have to be made, I would rather lose all add-ons, as long as, like, this is just it, right? I don't understand how we can have our own add-on developers that can literally make add-ons for the game we're playing in a matter of like days, or in their case, probably hours, right? They're like, we need this add-on, cool, go, go, go. So that means the prowess and capability of certain add-on makers kind of beats out WoW's developers tenfold. Like, why does there have to be so much red tape just to get tangibly something that is approved to do in the game, right? Because it feels as if you don't have, you know, like 7 different approvals, we can't push this one UI change that would have been a massive benefit for everyone, or whatever the case may be. Whereas we're in a position where if we could just take, like, all the things is a prime example of really good broad spectrum horizontal progression that's done in an add-on that makes it easy to digest what you can tackle and like where to find stuff. If they just put a little team on, I mean, I don't know how long all the things took to create, right? Like, it could have taken a while, it could have taken not that long, I'm not 100% sure. But if they put a team on, cool, you guys just deal with this for 3 months, there's 3 of you, work it out, cool. And just make a much more fleshed out, really nice way of collecting collectibles in WoW. Everything, you know, do all the quests, get all the mounts, get all the pets, that kind of stuff. Essentially serving exactly what all the things does. Why don't they take the most popular add-ons and then just spend some time implementing better versions of them in game, so there's not as much of a need? Granted, I get this stuff. It's easy for me to sit here and say, oh, this all takes time, or like, you're being a bit harsh. I probably am. But on the flip side, there's other people that are literally doing it for free in a matter of like hours to days. And it's probably one person or a small team of people, again, working on this add-on that just, like, you know, works. Why? There used to be in Warcraft 3, right? Like Blizzard approved maps in the map editor and stuff like that. Why are we in a position where that can't just be like Blizzard approved add-ons or something, and all non-Blizzard approved add-ons cannot be used? So these are features that are part of the game sort of thing, but you get to chop and change and say, yes, I do want that, but no, I don't want that. Yes, I do want that. Like, they could just have this list of add-ons, like almost like settings in the game, but you could have its own little area where it's like features, or just rename it. It doesn't need to be called add-ons, whatever. The whole point is, imagine if there was a small list of approved add-ons and they just went, okay, Bagnon, sure, UI frames, couple of the good popular ones, like hell, even if you wanted Elf UI or whatever, cool. ATT for all the things, if people wanted to do that, like rarity for mount collecting and stuff like that, cool. This is our small packet of approved add-ons. Over time, we will reassess things and either take them away or put them back. And yeah, just have an improved add-on list, and anything outside of that, no, you 100% can't do it and you'll get banned. And just put a firmer stance on it. Like combat add-ons, DPS meters to a lesser extent, I think are okay. But even then, like, I don't know. I feel like DPS meters still need to stay around for a while, until years down the line when the content itself doesn't rely so heavily on peak performance. That's when you can reassess the whole DPS add-on thing. But the first and foremost is, yeah, get rid of all the combat add-ons so you can play a lot more with designing encounters. I mean, I suppose with or without add-ons, they can just design encounters that don't rely on add-ons, you know? Sepulchre, the big talk. Oh my god, did everything just go black? Oh my god. Yeah, the big talk was Halondrus, right? Halondrus doesn't really require that many add-ons. It's just quite easy to digest what to do. It's just a matter of doing it, you know? And maybe that's sort of what we have to deal with now. I mean, it kind of sucks. I don't want that to be every encounter ever, but I don't know. Until they take a hard stance and go, no, all right, enough's enough. Anyway, I'm dribbling so much shit
for the guys if they get a nice diagram.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's just
it pre-plans which
they need to make a bold move at some point, right? Otherwise, this will keep getting worse and worse.
Extra boss mods. That
like, look at this shit. It's literally. How is this any different to AVR? The only slightly different element to it is that weak aura just happens to not show a circle on the ground where to stand, but it still perfect. Like, it's computational, like Ian said, right? It's literally computing. You stand here, you stand over there. Oh, dude, don't get me wrong, I missed AVR. AVR made Putricide fucking easy as shit, dude. It was so good. Just stand here, you're fine. Like, especially I was a melee guy, right? So it helped in terms of. Let's ramp up the setting. Yeah, we're only on... Dude, what are we doing with our life? How is that? There we go. Now we're on HD. My YouTube's been doing that lately. The auto just won't spit me out any higher than... But I have, like, insane internet. There should be no reason. Anyway, AVR, good. I kind of miss it. Purely because it was just fun to be like, oh, my God, this is so easy. But now that I've dealt with, 10 years of this shit, I don't know. I just kind of want a more engaging game that doesn't, like, it might be easier. Maybe that's the sacrifice. It does have to be a little bit easier, but in tandem with that, it's a more engaging experience.
Things like that are very commonplace when it comes to the most difficult.
Yeah, it is quite decisive. Divisive. Sorry.
Also runs this recently. The new Ultimate.
People are so divided on it.
The new Dragon Song Ultimate that just took place in Final Fantasy 14.
I'd love to get max level on Final Fantasy. I need to do so much. There's so many games to play.
And took the best of the best of the best, just as long to kill the one fight as it did for a lot of big races in the MMO space. Now, during the streaming of this, people could hear that add-ons were in use. Simple add-ons that were giving sort of vocal notifications as to when things were coming or which way to face, things like that. And people did not like that because Final Fantasy 14 is well known for being an add-on free game.
Naughty boys.
Quotation marks. Add-on free game. And what people are really talking about, of course, is boss mods. You don't want it to do with boss mods. Final Fantasy 14 goes to massive lengths to make sure that what's happening is visually shown to you. The boss will raise his right arm if he's going to destroy the right-hand side of the room. He will turn to you if he's going to target something. There will be icons and indicators trying to show you what is supposed to be happening. Now, of course, in the most difficult fights, there's so many things going on, such as trios of mechanics, that can be very difficult to work through, hence where the difficulty...
Final Fantasy raids do look really fun, I'm not going to lie.
Very complicated things, all happening at once, where lots of players need to coordinate.
So that's one thing I think would help WoW massively, if they took a little bit more of a WildStar approach, if anyone remembers WildStar, and like really made the mechanics pop. Like, the one thing that you tend to notice is a lot of people complain about just how brutal even Mythic Plus is, right? Again, as a complete casual fucking pleb these days that doesn't get as much time on the game anymore and is just naturally getting older and therefore shitter at, reactions and stuff. Yeah, honestly, like, there's been plenty of times in both raids and Mythic Plus where just the screen is just a fucking vomit of like effects and spells and shit. And if they made a little bit more of I don't expect all good things green and all bad things red and they're the only two color palettes you'll ever see, but just a bit more concern and consideration for just contrasting vibrancy to help clearly distinguish certain things that would need to be distinguished, not fucking a light blue AoE of death on a blue fucking floor with a blue boss in a blue room. Like, no, just be smarter about how you're designing this shit,
Upset. So Yoshi P made a statement, and their statement remains as it has been for a long time. We don't endorse the use of third-party add-ons.
Yeah, exactly.
We can't specifically check if you're using some of these things, but we don't endorse them. And this isn't just a case of boss mods, but it also extends to the fact that they don't like people using damage meters, because often people wield them as a weapon. I'm going to come back to that in a second. But anything that should make fights even easier, because they're obviously very worried about going to where World of Warcraft is right now in discussing add-ons. And recently, in the interview with Asmongold and Ian Hazakostas, they brought up the subject of add-ons as well. It's a very hot topic in both communities, and that's because it affects everybody differently. That's the thing. We kind of know, right? I think any logical person can kind of see what FF14 is trying to avoid, and on the vice versa, a lot of World of Warcraft casual players look at something like the Race to World First. They're hearing about things that are like teams of people making add-ons, and a lot of people will look at a World of Warcraft UI and go, what the hell is happening? Like 60% of the screen is add-ons giving me information. I don't want to play a game like that. I want to play a game that's nice and clean and open, certainly if these communities are interspersed. Now, wielding as a weapon. This is where we have to set the foundation for how widespread this thing goes. Because when people talk about add-ons, they're kind of using a blanket statement. And some add-ons are good. Let's just face facts. Some add-ons are good. Not everything provided by the game developer is perfect. We can all agree on that everything is perfect. I have been...
Oh, my lord. I need to blow the shit out of my nose.
Because in FF14, no third-party stuff is allowed. However, there's a lot of stuff that's kind of good, and it's just not in the game. Now, I was attacked because I had an add-on installed. In my history of playing Final Fantasy XIV, I have used one add-on. And it was a simple add-on that had nothing to do with encounters, nothing to do with trivializing anything. It was chat bubbles.
Naughty preach.
Chat bubbles. I don't like
you should know better.
Chat in a side box on the corner of my game. I often don't notice it. My attention
I'm literally like the highest character I ever got in Final Fantasy XIV was like level 50 or something. I'm clearly not any level of endgame. The MSQ feels overwhelmingly long to like get to endgame, and I'm not just going to buy a boost like that. So that's why I haven't just sunk enough time into it. But throughout playing, like something as literally as trivial and better with chat bubbles, like honestly, it's just a no-brainer.
Who's talking to me, but where they're stood, and that makes me much more engaged with the people I'm surrounded by. Final Fantasy XIV does not have chat bubbles. There are a few reasons behind this, but it made me annoyed and frustrated.
Yeah, exactly.
Because often people would be, if I was going into a group setting,
it's not black and white at all.
A lot of people would be.
There's a lot of grey area, but I think there is a distinct line that's a lot more distinct than I think people are giving credit for. I think those in the camp that are just too black and white just don't have the succinct capability of going, oh, it is grey, but sorry, we're going to make it black and white.
So I was like, God,
well, no, if it's grey, it's grey, but there's a clear fucking black line, like we're not to cross over, so to speak.
Especially with so many people around. So people are like, yeah, you can get a plugin that makes that work. And I raised the questions like, isn't that not allowed? It's like, look, this is how this kind of works. Damage meters exist in Final Fantasy XIV. They do. We have logs for Final Fantasy XIV. We have lots of stuff. We have things that make the auction house better. Because you've got to remember, FF14 was designed around consoles. So a lot of stuff
I actually did not know that.
Make itself more conducive to a PC environment sometimes.
I thought it would have just been PC straight from the get-go.
There are add-ons to take better pictures, right? There are add-ons to make things just a little bit more convenient. But generally speaking, most of the community is okay with the fact that there's no damage meters, or if you have a damage meter, you don't use that as a weapon.
Yeah.
Now, after the statement last week, things have been used as a weapon, especially towards streamers, because people can see
the irony. The irony that a damage meter was never supposed to be used as a weapon and is now being used as a weapon if you are using it as opposed to not using it. It's like the telltale, you know, fucking kind of a little bit that SJW sort of, you know, like a little bit iffy. Kind of the hypocrisy of being like, oh, well, you can't say that because, you know, how could you do XYZ? And it's just like, you're now being that person. Like, imagine getting someone being shitty at you for being a Karen. And it's just like, but you're being the thing. You're doing, no. Yeah.
Add-ons. Now, I just instantly uninstalled mine. I just figured, look, my take on this is simple. In terms of the FF14 stuff, and we'll come back to it, is that if it's something they agree with, they're going to add it to the game. Now, I may use these things in the future.
The problem is not so much whether or not they're going to... Dude, I need to clean my screen so bad. What the fuck, dude? I think I sneezed and I got some like boogers on my screen. It's really awkward. Ow. Ow, so crusty and shit. Yeah, no. I forgot what I was going to say because I got distracted. That's fucking gross.
What FF14 was attacking, but I have a bad experience. Let's just
I've been sick lately.
With thinking things are okay and them not being. I have been banned in the past, as is well documented. When I thought things were like,
have no clue what he got banned for. What did he get banned for?
And
does anyone know what he got banned for? Oh, okay, really?
So we'll go ahead and do it.
Interesting.
But I'm going to read the what's happening with the player base. I'm going to see if this kind of moves on because, as far as I'm concerned, and I think Squeenix probably agrees with me on this, chat bubbles ain't shit. They're not what they're targeting. Their post describing this problem with add-ons was specifically around encounters and making the game easier in some way, especially when they're trying to produce these most difficult fights. What they don't want is something like weak auras coming in. But, of course, it's been wielded as a weapon. Several streamers have been attacked and reported constantly and taken down and had their accounts banned. People who took part in the Ultimate have had their accounts taken down. Now, you may agree or disagree with that, and that's not my position here. I'm looking to talk about add-ons in general. And then coming back to World of Warcraft. So that's what's happened, and people are always going to do that, especially if they don't like that streamer, especially if they disagree with them, or they say something they don't like. They're going to wield this as a weapon, and we have seen that happen, and that's not great. That's not great, is to have this kind of attitude of attack, 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 when it's clearly not what this was designed around, and they're basically asking you to use common logical sense in these situations. Over in World of Warcraft, a lot of people...
I don't like that people's actions get completely nullified based on their own
World of Warcraft was designed from day one with add-on usage in mind, similar to many
whatever moral guidelines they're going over, and therefore,
you can play
because you know I have the moral high ground, I
does play World of Warcraft with zero add-ons. Somebody everywhere does that thing, but the game is designed with it in mind.
Immune to my own actions and how bad or good I'm behaving, because my behavior is, you know, shielded by my moral high ground that I believe I have, which is a bit dumb.
The reason it's dog shit is because they expect you to use add-ons to alter it and change it to however you want it to be, and they encourage that behavior.
I actually think I agree with Asman more on that one. They shouldn't expect you to use add-ons to chop and change it how you want to, because then it's just not pleasurable experience. Like, it's completely disingenuous to think that every single player of World of Warcraft is going to know how good it can or can't be based on certain add-ons. Like, there's a core group of players that 110%, like, it would be interesting to run the numbers. I don't know how you would even do it, but I wonder how many, like, what population of World of Warcraft players at least use one add-on. Just one. At least one add-on and know about add-ons, right? How many people just play default game, no add-ons whatsoever? And then, all right, of the percentage of those that at least use add-ons at all, how many just do like a UI overhaul, like LVUI or something like that? How many go the full combat add-on level? Do some just have a couple of add-ons for their pets or mount farming and stuff like that? There's a lot of area of like kind of curiosity to figure out, ooh, okay, you know, what's I wonder where people sit for the most part, where the majority lies, where the bell curve lands, you know what I mean? But I don't know, it's I don't like the statement of it's just assumed that you're going to be using add-ons to chop and change stuff around. That's a shitty excuse for making a bad UI because, it's fine, we don't need to really update. I mean, I get it, they're doing it now. What, 16, 17 years down the line? Like, cool, thanks for that. But, no, it shouldn't be expected to use add-ons to make, like, stuff better. They should just improve the game and be way, way, way quicker about it. Instead of just relying on people's, you know, add-on usage to go, well, they'll fix it how they want. And it's just a less pleasurable experience knowing that someone that plays well without add-ons versus someone that plays well with add-ons, it's got nothing to do with how hardcore or casual you are, nothing to do with playing 2 hours a day versus 2 hours a week versus fucking 20 hours a day or however extreme you want to go. The point is, someone that plays the game literally 12 hours a day with no add-ons is going to have a vastly, vastly different experience that has nothing to do with the amount of time they play compared to someone that only plays like an hour a day and has every add-on under the sun and, you know, can do whatever he wants. Like, I hate to say it, but that 1 hour a day person is going to actually be far better off than the 0 add-on person. And while it's a shame that we're in that position, do something about it. Make it a level playing field. It's going to make the game and the population just far superior. Like, I think add-ons do more to divide people than you know, and make a pleasurable experience.
In a stance when people cross the line. That has happened many times.
Lately.
We all know about AVR, or if you don't, AVR in Wrath of the Lich King,
AVR,
which literally
future side,
projected textures of where you should stand to avoid mechanics onto the game.
Rock face in that wasn't.
I'm
really
not joking.
That
That add-on existed. That add-on existed, which is like, here's a big red circle on the floor. Stand there and you're fine.
It was so good.
And you'll never get hit by this mechanic. Obviously, that massively trivialized so many encounters because this add-on was able to read where projectiles were going, where nasty things were going to happen, and say, this is the safe space. If you go and stand there, and we'll literally put a big circle on the floor, that's where you go and stand, and you avoid all this horrible things that are happening. And people were overcoming bosses they should have no hope of defeating. Compared to saying that Wing Buffet is coming in 10 seconds, or the big explosion is coming in 20 seconds, that is far beyond
like,
that line.
Where do you draw that line?
When things are happening, or when things happen, you have a certain nasty debuff. But what it's not doing is saying, like, everybody go here, and you could literally trace a map where everybody needed to go in order to avoid ever getting hit by these mechanics. And that was mad.
And here's the thing with that, right? Is if you can't make that distinction and you can't draw a line, like it's too difficult because of technical reasons, or it's too difficult because of just time investment to nitpick and go, where's the gray line? Like, I completely understand why it's more beneficial to just go, we don't know where the line is with these fucking combat add-ons. I don't think it's entirely the end of the world to have an audio thing that just says ring buffet in 10 seconds, boop, 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 boop. Versus like ring buffets in 10 seconds, stand exactly right here. You go over there, you go over there. Billy Bob Joe fucking take 2 steps back and like just completely compute every movement of every character that needs to be done. If you can't find that line, then I do think it's better to err on the side of safe and caution. Just fucking ban them all. Sorry, but yeah, because even if that means for 1 tier or 2 tiers, rating is just fucking whacked and completely all over the shop. The longevity of 4, 5, 6 tiers down the line, where we end up is going to be a far better position than keeping add-ons around. Like, the investment long term is well worth it, 100%, to just bite the bullet and get rid of all the combat add-ons rather than trying to define the line.
To cut off parts of the AI again because people trivialize the hardest mechanic in that fight. The Grand Conjunction, where
it
you
like
had to
comes up out of nowhere where there's not enough time to mute the mic.
But they had add-ons that would simply say, you go to the big blue square and you are fine. And everything will be fine, and nobody's going to get hit.
Was awesome.
And you're going to win and overcome the most difficult part of this fight. This fight is entirely designed around this mechanic. It uses area denial to make this mechanic even harder, and if you trivialize that mechanic using add-ons, then the fight is worthless, and now we have to rethink, and this is the important thing, we have to rethink how we do fights in the future because we can no longer use this type of mechanic because you guys are going to make it super easy.
Yeah, that's
so does that mean
another
all
thing I
add-ons
don't
should
like.
be destroyed? Absolutely not. That's crazy. That's crazy. Just like there should be some flexibility about more stricter rules over in FF14. There's a fine line to be had. There is always going to be that, but it's not an easy line to find, in my opinion. That's where it comes down to, is clearly stuff I'm doing and other people are doing enhances their game experience without any negative effect happening on the design of the game or implementation. But people are right, is like, that makes it so that you can keep kind of pushing that and then making them come back. And frankly, the FF14 devs can't be fucking bothered to deal with that, and I don't blame them.
Yeah, no, I actually agree with that.
Endorse any of this.
They did exactly what I thought. Just cut them all off.
Crack down on it and keep it that way because it makes our lives infinitely easier. And if there's something you guys are all doing, maybe we can implement it into the game ourselves, which is what I'm hoping for with things like chat bubbles, because it makes our experience so much better and is entirely innocent. That's my stance on it. You might disagree and say, they said no. They said no. They did say no. I don't have it installed. I uninstalled it immediately because I'm not risking getting banned.
No don't want to risk it no more.
World of Warcraft, can you imagine playing that game with no add-ons? Now, some of you will be like, well, I play with no add-ons, but I'm going to say your experience is way shitter than what I experienced. That's the fact.
That's what I was saying earlier, right? Like 100%, I agree with that.
Considering a lot of the games,
and it has nothing to do with the time played. Like I said, someone playing 12 hours a day and absolutely no life set with no add-ons compared to that fucking 1 hour a week Andy. Yeah, sorry, he's having a way better time with add-ons than no add-ons.
Day one, this is not a modern thing.
See, preach knows, mate.
This isn't a Shadowlands
He's
thing.
a smart cookie. I wonder how old Preach is. Is he like mid-40s?
Very proactive
30s?
and reactive.
I don't know.
Gameplay that is in World of Warcraft, far quicker than what you'll find in FF14, is designed because you should know these things are happening, that horrible spells are casting, being able to mark mobs very quickly in massive packs because you can pull extraordinarily large things with huge amounts of things going on. This is just in dungeons and things like that.
Yeah.
Because they kind of expect that you're going to have something.
That's why
now,
Mythic Plus is just not
I do think WeChorus
enjoyable.
go too far. I'm not on one side or the other here. UI add-ons, all that kind of stuff is fine. I personally would love to see some fights that have stuff like this disabled, to see how they do. I'm trying to put together something where we'll see a raid with 0 add-ons. Like, how do people perform under those pressures? Because it creates all sorts of
I kind of want to do a bit of Mythic Plus research, because I do really want to get into Mythic Plus for Season 4 for Shadowlands.
Add-on creators on standby. We don't have a payroll to make that happen.
I need to like research what add-ons are like imperative.
Like auction house mods disabled? Not really. Like, the auction house is better, but it's still not great. Do I really want to see my UI disappear? No. And as rightly pointed out by Ian in the interview with Asmon, is that if there are things that they have to disable in order to make certain add-ons not work, which have a ripple effect. If we disable this part of the API, which is the code that people use to get add-on information and then relay that back to the player, if we disable part of that, then no longer do you have things like a slightly better health bar. Is that what you really want? So I imagine a lot of people don't. It's a very fine line, no easy answer. And it's something that I think all devs need to keep an eye on. And these blanket wipeout statements that I'm seeing from people is like, it should just be a flat-out no. I totally disagree with. It's not something that...
So, this is what I was talking about, right? Why can't they just have a Blizzard-approved add-on section and you can only chop and change and add and take away and all that stuff, those add-ons? And of that Blizzard-approved list... it automatically comes installed with the game. If you download WoW, those add-ons are functional in the list of the add-ons. It's just in its own folder file somewhere. And then you just get to go yay or nay based on whatever. Granted, I don't know how that's legally going to work because, I mean, that's not my position to say. But in this magical pipe dream world that I'm living in, I don't know, like, can't they just pay the add-on people and be like, hey, what do you think this is? Well, technically, no, because they don't have to fucking pay the add-on people shit, right? They can just steal their own add-on. Just go, all right, here's the 10 most popular add-ons. Let's start with there and see how it feels and how it plays out. And then we can adjust and chop and change. They go, cool. Again, like I said, for DPS meters, I think we're going to have to bite the bullet and let them stay for a little while until we get our other boss mod and... you know, all that kind of stuff. I don't understand why they can't just go, all right, we're literally going to carbon copy the shit out of the 10 most popular add-ons. Let's get them in there. Any that are just flavorful, fluffy add-ons that don't actually do anything, cool. Yep. You can have them in there as well. Like if WoW had a slightly better speech bubble add-on, ooh, yay. Cool. By all means, go ahead and allow that to be a thing as well. Yeah, just make your approved add-on list, and then they have the rights to completely chop and change and get rid of or take away whatever they need to do. Yeah, I don't understand. And they shouldn't owe anything to the add-on makers because the add-on makers don't own the rights to the add-on, right? Because they're completely being allowed to make code and stuff based off a game that they aren't producing. So I don't think there's any legal ramifications for Blizzard to turn around and literally go, hey, this add-on that you guys are all using, yeah, we agree it should be in the game. They just make carbon copy version of it default straight into the game and they don't get in trouble. They shouldn't get in trouble, right? I don't think so. Like they should be able to just steal it and then no repercussion.
Everybody's
because they're the company that makes the game and the add-ons are, yeah.
And I don't think that's necessary. What you need to do is probably take a proactive approach in this. FF14 for me is too hands-on. WoW is too hands-off. there's a place in the middle that can maybe make this work. But if we're at the point in WoW, which we are now, where you're literally having to pay teams of people to try
that's
and
just
nullify
bad.
mechanics, because that's what they're doing. They're actively trying to make mechanics not a problem. That kind of sucks, because they've proven, and I think Halondrus would be the best example here. Halondrus didn't require any add-ons. The raid leaders were practically useless there. It was a game of personal play. They can absolutely design fights like that.
The problem is, though, is they can't keep designing fights like that, right? Like, how monotone and boring is it going to be where every single fight in a new tier or new dungeons, new raids, whatever it may be, or even just world bosses and shit, right? If they're constantly having to like be so tiptoey careful around, we're going to make only these type of mechanics are allowed because otherwise they're going to make an add-on, and it completely like, think of like a balloon of just all the possible mechanics we've had thrown at us over the 17 years of playing WoW, right? And then if, you know, of that pie diagram, fucking 60% of it is now in that space of, we can't do that type of mechanic because this add-on that we know they'll make in 2 seconds flat just completely nullifies it. You're just shrinking your own pool of cool mechanics that you can draw from as you make new fights, and that's just not enjoyable at all. Like, I don't expect both the players to enjoy it or the devs to enjoy having to do it, where you need to make fights purely based around, you know, Halondrus fights where, you know, add-ons don't actually mean or do anything.
Can they do them all the time? No, they can't do them all the time. Wow,
exactly. Thank you. Yeah,
it wouldn't be a great time if everything was just like, okay, now we just need to carry bombs or whatever. Like, there's a limited scope in that environment to make that work. They would have to redesign how the bosses work, like animation-wise. You say FF14 does it. FF14 bosses work entirely differently. They work entirely differently and designed around the idea from the get-go, from day one, that there's no add-ons involved. World of Warcraft is not like that. Like, you can't visually, like, they can't even make the jailer walk properly. He just, like, slides across the floor. Let alone can he give very, very distinct animations as to what he's doing without everything being a slow build-up, which is not conducive to that game. So there's many arcs here. I'd love to see your thoughts on it. Personally, there's a middle ground here. There's a middle ground. And yeah, part of it is selfish. Of course I want chat bubbles back in FF14, and I wouldn't mind not seeing ridiculous... I wouldn't see raids come to a stop while add-ons get made, so we can get around this mechanic. Like, there's a fine line in the middle. But I'd love to see your thoughts on it, guys. Yeah. Let me know what you think. Bye-bye.
Yeah, no, I mean... Oh my God. Jesus Christ. Preach, mate, I swear to God. That guy's crazy. Yeah, no, I mean, I think for the most part... Oh, God, it just auto-played the next section. Can you tell that I've been watching some of his things on the side? Drama time. Halfway through the fucking video. Yeah, no, I think he raises literally a very good point that there is grey area. The Crusaders that are saying no add-ons at all, they're not correct. Like, I actually do agree with that. But I do agree that when it's brought up of especially combat add-ons, if you have to make a hard choice, it should be a no-brainer to err on the side of, sorry, get rid of all the add-ons, even if it makes the short term a little less enjoyable. Because I hate to say it, but it feels as if the short term's a little less enjoyable at the moment, regardless of these add-on things. We're already in a little bit of a miserable state waiting for the copium of Dragonflight, right? So just do the thing that needs to be done, right? Like, get it done, son. Exactly, get it done. All right, nice, good video. Yeah, let's get back into some games, shall we?